Hello, everybody. Welcome to another movie review where we are reviewing The Mummy, 2017.
This is what, the third adaptation of it?
This is you have the original Mummy with Boris Karloff.
Yes.
You have all those spin-offs that, they did, all those ones that they did with like Abbott and Costello and all that stuff. They did those.
Did the Brendan Fraser ones.
Yep. And also, the Brendan Fraser ones as well. Which actually I was going to ask you, like, you like the Boris Karloff one, right?
Oh yeah, that was the one that originally got me into The Mummy.
Okay, you did. And you also like the Brendan Fraser one, or...
I only like the first one.
Okay.
I mean, I like bits of the second one, but after that, the whole series just kind of goes to hell.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. With this movie, they are doing the whole, like, dark universe, the whole...
Introduction of the monsters.
Because, to be honest with you, Universal has never really done much with the Universal monsters past all of the stuff with Boris Karloff and with Bela Lugosi and Lon Chaney.
They've tried to do the remakes, and I mean, they've had one or two successes. I mean, like what we were talking about after the movie ended. Was one that we saw a couple years ago. I forget how long ago that was. Dracula.
Well, I don't care what anybody says.
I like the Dracula Untold one.
I like it, but you know what? There was an interview with the director of this movie, Alex Kurtzman. He said, well, Dracula Untold wasn't supposed to be the first one in the whole monster universe. It just was a big coincidence. I call complete bull on that because...
I thought it was a good way to start it.
It was a good way to start it. Unfortunately, it didn't make barely any money, and so they said, well, you know what? That's not gonna be the beginning of it.
I thought it had a good cast. It had a good origin story of how Dracula became what he was.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, if they were gonna start anywhere, I thought it'd be him, because he's one of the more... I mean, I would say they're all legends, but he's like the most noticeable out of all.
What, the...
Dracula.
I thought and that's why I thought, and it worked. I thought that story worked well, but they're starting here with the Mummy, so that's fine. And the thing that I'm sort of curious about is, like, were you asking for this movie? I mean, really, were you asking for it?
I kind of figured they were going to come up with this movie anyway, and if this one does successful, they're going to do the others. I mean, out of, I forget, was there like 5 or 6 the original movie monsters? You got the Mummy, you got Dracula, you got Frankenstein, you got the creature from the Black Lagoon, you got the Wolfman. I think there's one more that I'm missing. I'm not sure what it is.
The Invisible Man?
Invisible Man. Those 6 are the ones that pretty much started the whole horror genres.
Yes.
Those are literally the origin story for all later on monster movies, all these other types of movies that come in later in the universe.
Well, the thing about it for me is that I wasn't asking for it, but okay, you're gonna do it anyway, so I'll watch it. The best place to start, if we're gonna start talking about this movie, probably has to be Tom Cruise. Now let me ask you, before, because I know you're gonna go into something. What's your thought on Tom Cruise?
In general?
In general, sure.
I love his movies. When you see his early career, like Top Gun, Cocktail, Rain Man. All those movies. I loved those movies back in the day. Risky Business.
Yeah.
Those are the movies that really launched his career.
Yes.
I think as he's gotten older, his career, in my opinion, is still steady, but I think he takes a few, I won't say a lot, but a few risks now and then. I think this, for my personal opinion, I think this movie was one of them. I mean, we just recently saw a trailer with him in another movie called
American Made.
American Made, which I thought looks a lot more interesting. I even saw a thing online which said he was more considering having that movie do extremely well than this movie, The Mummy.
Yes.
I mean, I don't personally dislike Tom Cruise as an actor. I think he's a good actor.
Yeah.
It depends on what movie he does.
I think in this movie he was miscast.
Yeah.
This character of Nick is supposed to be deeply flawed, a thief, maybe even a little bit of a slimeball.
It didn't feel like that in the movie. It felt like at the point in a lot of the movie he was just pausing.
Yes, it felt like they picked him because of the name.
Yeah, I think they did it because he's like, oh, he's star power. You know, he could hype up this movie more. I mean, a lot of the other actors. There's only a few actors that I know through this film, like female mainly, and I forget what her name is.
Sofia Boutella.
Yeah, we saw her in
Kingsman.
Yes.
And she was great in Kingsman.
Yes.
We saw her in Star Trek Beyond.
Yes.
And she was great in Star Trek Beyond.
Yes.
And I don't know whether you agree, but she's definitely the best part of this movie.
Yeah, I have to give her that because at least I think she's probably the most. I won't say the most thorough character, but at least she's the most you can kind of relate to. Everybody else felt like they were just like lagging on this film.
It just, I mean, from Tom Cruise being miscast to the other female lead, the character's name is Jenny. Forget the actress's name right now. It's escaping me.
Yeah, we've seen her in a couple other movies. She was in, what was it, the Annabelle movie?
That was her?
Yes.
Oh,
she was also
I forgot
in
about that.
X-Men First Class. Remember the one Professor X, they were at the bar drink. He was doing the giant drink and he's trying to impress her.
Man, I forget that. Okay.
I mean, I only recognized her because I was like, oh, she looks so familiar.
Man, okay. I thought so, but thank you for reminding me. But
well, get back to the movie.
Yeah.
What I liked about in the movie, at least little bits that I did like, the female mummy, I like the way they did her. You know, the way, I mean, you do see like in the Brendan Fraser one, you see she has to drain life in order to regenerate herself.
yes.
I mean, I like her look better than in the Brendan Fraser mummy with Emotep's character.
Yeah,
I forget the actor's name.
I think it's Arnold Vosloo or something. I think it is. Okay.
I like in this one, even though she was like regenerated, she still looked mummy-like. This guy, in the other one, the guy just looks like a normal dude, other than he can do supernatural stuff.
Yeah, so her look was definitely better.
Yes. And I even did like the thing with the eyes, where she got like the double
thing, with
double pupil things going on.
I did like that too, and again, I felt like she worked in the movie really well. It's just everything around her.
Yeah.
It's everything around her. Like, I mean, for instance, there's like, for instance, there's some really great sequences in the movie. Like, for instance, the plane sequence, which is not bad.
I thought it could be better.
Really?
Well, I mean, you just see, like, when they're doing the whole chaos thing with the plane, and, you know, the whole plane starting to tear apart, and you see it crash, about to crash. That was another thing I didn't like in the film. They just keep doing these cut scenes, where, like, at one point, and then you're in a later point, you know, like, oh, he's at this, you know, he's standing right here, but the next minute he's like a half a mile away.
Oh, you think the editing was all kind of messed up?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of choppy in parts.
Sure. Oh.
I thought also in the movie, like, the sidekick friend, I forget who the actor's name is.
The actor's name is Jake Johnson, but they didn't really give him a name, I don't think.
He had the most choppiest part of the whole movie.
And did you notice something? I don't know if you noticed it, but I definitely did. They were going for an American Werewolf in London vibe.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I mean, they didn't show him, like, decomposing. They just showed him, like, all, like, palish and.
But it was the comedy aspect of it. Like they were going for that big time, and I was like, "Oh, you guys are so not pulling this off, man. You are so."
And a lot of the lines, they're just like, "Oh, you have to do that." I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Is this the best lines you can do for this movie?"
I think the script was poorly written. That's a definite one. Script was poorly written, and also, you know, a lot of this, like,
the plot felt kind of weak.
The plot felt weak, and that's really the biggest thing. Where it's like, okay, number one, I understand the whole thing of, you know, them uncovering her and everything like that.
I mean, I do like the look of the casket that she was in.
Oh, the casket is good. The look of the casket is awesome.
It looked like an old school, like something you see in like one of the old black and white films.
Those are great, but even more than that is just like things like characters. You know, this is something I hate. Characters making stupid decisions.
Oh my god, it's almost continuity in almost half the films that we see.
Oh god, stupid decisions. Like, for instance, they're in the tomb where the female mummy is.
Yeah, they just found her tomb and all that stuff.
They just found her tomb, and, you know, they're kind of looking and everything, and basically, you know, Tom Cruise just shoots it.
You don't know if there's any traps or any kind of, you know, security. You know, you figure something that well guarded would have kept some kind of traps, something to protect you in case of an emergency.
Yeah, there's nothing. And it's kind of like, what the hell is this, man? Like, why are you taking the risk on this stuff?
Well, that and another point is, like, right before they set the traps, or I think it's once he releases the sarcophagus.
Yeah.
You get all those little, I forget, were they like scarabs or something?
No, they're not scarabs. They're spiders. They're supposed to be harmless, but they end up
like sort of like almost like I wouldn't say complete mind control, but at least like sort of like partially controlling the person.
Yes.
At least getting them like, to that point.
Like that. And to me, I felt like this movie wasn't as creative as it could have been.
Well, that and the main part in the movie is that the mummy wants to resurrect the god of death and, you know, give him a human body, you know, so he can live in this plane of his existence.
Yeah.
I felt that whole part of the movie could have been a lot severely well done.
Oh,
if you're having, like, the ultimate evil come on Earth, even when you do finally see him, you know, you see he's like, oh, he's the ultimate evil. And they want to bring him, even the bad guy, or the good guys want to bring him into the world.
Yes.
So, I mean, did they want to destroy him, or do they want to use him for their own advantage? I mean, even getting back to Russell Crowe's character.
Yes, thank you.
We got really get into him. Because
Russell Crowe, they really, during the promotion of the movie, like the trailers and everything, they never really said who his character was. Oh, and I forgot to tell people, we're spoiling the crap out of this movie.
I mean, so if you're watching this far into it, you might as well get spoiled, because this movie is not the best.
It's not the best movie. I mean, we'll definitely give our rating, but he plays
Henry Jekyll.
Henry Jekyll, and then the opposite of that is Eddie Hyde.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
not very well done.
Not very well done. And he is head of this organization called Perdigium.
Yeah, basically they're like ultimate monster hunters. You know, they research them, they find them. If they manage to kill them, they they find out all the secrets of these monsters. I mean, you do get hints of other potential monsters.
You do. You get hints of Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula. Unless there was more, I don't
know. They kind of went through that whole scene real quick. I think you may have seen potentially Frankenstein, maybe the Wolfman.
Maybe they
flipped through that scene so quickly.
They went by fast. I mean, there's definitely Easter eggs in the film. If you If when
there was another Easter egg later on in the film when she's trying to try the same Tom Cruise's character, which hints back to the Brendan Fraser.
Yes, I hoped you noticed that because I did.
I don't remember which book it was. I think it was either the Book of the Dead or the other one.
I was hoping you noticed that because I know I sure did.
What I did not like about Russell Crowe's character, I mean, other than the organization that he leads, is when you see the transformation of Jekyll and Hyde, you expect him to look like completely different.
You do. At least I thought so.
The CGI that they use for him when he changes, pitiful.
Yeah, it's bad.
You want to know a good Jekyll one? I actually own this series.
You do?
At home.
Yeah. It's
with, I think his name's James Nesbitt. His character does look physically the same when he changes, but there's differences. You know, like his hair's darker, his eyes are darker, and there's even moments when he can turn like almost demonic looking, which I thought was a great series that they could have done with this version of Jekyll and Hyde, but it was pitiful.
Whatever happened to remembering the great movie of Dr. Jekyll and Ms. Hyde? Whatever happened to that movie? Okay, that movie's good. All right.
I mean, monster movies nowadays are so hard to do.
They really are, and it's so weird to think that back in the black and white days they were so easy to do.
Yeah.
And now they're so hard to do. Is it because of them throwing too much money at it? It because of,
here's another one that I could say that I liked in bits and parts.
Sure.
Was Benicio del Toro's Wolfman.
Yes, that was good too.
I liked it in parts. I liked the wolf transformation that he had.
Yes.
But with Anthony
Hopkins, yes.
Hopkins characters, I got him laughing the first time I said it.
Oh yeah.
He looked like a giant gerbil when he transformed into a werewolf.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really.
I mean, there's
bad.
some parts where they can actually make the monster look good.
Yeah.
But we've seen worse versions of the potential versions of these monsters. Like, what was the worst looking Frankenstein we've ever seen?
You could go back to actually. I mean, there's a couple. You could go back to Robert De Niro when he played Frankenstein.
I actually thought that one looked more realistic looking.
I mean that, or I could go back to Van Helsing. I could do Van Helsing.
I knew you were gonna say that one.
I could. I could. But getting back to this movie though, is just the idea of, you know, at the end of this movie, okay, he kills the mummy or takes down the mummy temporarily. Who knows? It neutralizes it.
I mean, they still take the precaution of sealing her up and, you know.
Yeah, and just making sure that basically
she doesn't come back.
You know, she don't come back. But the
thing is now he's got the god of death
the god of death inside of him.
And he brings back his dead friend. I'm like, is he like a minion now, or is he like a partner in crime? Or
But
how long can he control the power of a god?
How long can he control it? And I don't understand, because wasn't it meant to be, okay, once the stone and the dagger, and it plunges into him, he becomes the god of Set, and the god of Set, or the god of death, I'm sorry, completely takes him over. Like, there's no more Nick. There is.
It's a choppy explanation. The only thing I could possibly give is right before he turns himself into him.
Okay.
He tries to destroy the gem that contains the essence of the god or whatever.
Okay.
And it gets cracked. Maybe that's the only reason he can get somewhat control. But even then, you saw him kind of struggle with it.
Yeah, he's struggling with it. So it's very odd, the explanation.
Yeah,
it really is. And so it's really odd that explanation. It really is odd.
Well, then, like, if you're gonna turn him into a god of death, don't keep him looking human. Make him look different. You know, make him look like more demonic. You know, like, I don't know, some pointed ears and fangs, or make his eyes look different. I mean, they did that for like a minute or so, then they like reverted him back. I'm like, I don't know, this movie was kind of all over the place. I mean, story-wise, it was weak. Characters were weak. I mean, the only decent part was the female mummy for what she had.
I thought the idea of a female mummy is intriguing. I thought it was intriguing. I thought it was a great idea. And again, Sophia Boutella does a good job.
Yeah.
I think the rest of the movie around
She
her...
didn't have much to work with.
She didn't have much to work with, and unfortunately, you didn't see a lot of her when...
No.
This is called The Mummy. This is not called The Mummy's boyfriend. Okay.
And even
okay.
that cheesy line he gives her before he turned himself into the god of death. Oh, it's not me, it's you. I'm like, did these writers just run out of stuff to say? I mean,
it doesn't feel right to me. And Alex Kurtzman, who is the director of this movie, he's written a lot of bad movies.
yes.
And he's been a part of a lot of bad movies. If you don't really know him, look him up. He's been a part of pretty much all the Transformers movies, so that tells you that tells you something right there. But he just doesn't do a good job with the movie. With somebody in more capable hands, they could have done a better job with it. I thought they could have gotten better performances. They could have made the movie better, more scary. It's not scary.
It's kind of dull in a lot of parts, because even when she tries to do all the scary scenes, you don't feel it.
I don't feel the scary parts to it.
Even that
don't.
part where you see her like creeping up in somebody in dark.
Yeah.
I was like this in the film.
I was kind of like, okay, when are they gonna really get me with the scares? And
you saw more as the pre-vision mummy version than you actually do see her as the mummy version of herself.
Yeah, and it's just, it doesn't work. It felt like they really wanted to go fast.
Yeah.
Come on, get with the pace. I don't know. I mean, for me, if this movie does well, they're gonna continue it. I think they're doing
I hope they can do something better. That's all I can say.
I think they're doing like Frankenstein or Bride of Frankenstein next or something. They've talked about The Rock being the Wolfman.
And don't forget, he asked me to say this.
Yep, I did.
I even said it when we were watching the credits to see if there was a post-credit scene. We're going to have The Rock as the Wolfman do his eyebrow ouch.
Yeah.
And he's going to say, what is the Wolf Rock cooking?
Exactly. He's gonna just do his signature thing. He's gonna probably
Wolf version.
Yeah.
He'll have he'll have his giant claws out with a human head, and he'll be like, he'll do the eyebrow thing.
He's probably gonna
howl.
He's probably gonna clothesline somebody or something. Who the hell knows? I will say this much. I wish they would have started off better for a potential franchise. Doing something better.
Dracula Untold could have been the first one.
I think Dracula Untold is far better than people give it credit for.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you compare Dracula Untold versus this movie, Dracula Untold would
kill this movie 10 times
would
over.
kill it. I think it's a better origin story.
That's the problem. You gotta have the right casting, which
yes.
I thought other than Female Mummy, I thought everybody was a little bit misplaced.
I think so too.
You need to have good lines, which this movie was severely needed.
Yeah.
Like he said, no stupidity moves, which they do quite a bit in this movie.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
Some CGI was pretty bad.
Some of it was iffy, some of it was good. It's a balance.
Too much jumping around, which I said earlier.
Yep.
You spend more time, like I just said a few minutes ago, you spend more time seeing the mummy pre-mummy than you do the actual her. And you don't even get to see her that much in this film.
No, you don't.
Spend more time with the main character, or the main actors. Like, oh, we have to talk about his character. I'm like, I understand you want to give him background depth and all that, but you're dividing the movie. This is supposed to be the Mummy, not the Tom Cruise movie.
This is not supposed to be the Tom Cruise movie, but the problem is when you cast Tom Cruise in it, especially for this type of movie, it becomes the Tom Cruise movie, and that's the problem.
I understand he's the main character other than the Mummy. But we don't need the whole 90 minutes of just talking about him. You know, it's supposed to be the Mummy. She's supposed to be seeing her great destruction plan, you know, rise of terror, that type of thing.
Yes.
She had maybe, percentage-wise, maybe, what, 20-25% of the movie?
I think it's a little bit more, but...
Maybe 30?
I would say maybe 40-ish or so, but it's definitely... Other people are overtaking her, definitely. I will say this much. I think that it's not really worth your time to go to the movie theater to see it. Wait till it hits on Netflix or if you have a local video rental store. Which is
a rare thing nowadays.
Which is a rare thing. But, you know, go and do that. I mean... But
I personally can't recommend this movie. I mean, maybe if it's something you occasionally see, like you said, if you see it on Netflix or Redbox or whatever.
I mean, like I said, some of the action sequences I thought were, again, pretty exciting. But again, I think they did it better in the Brendan Fraser Mummy.
Yeah, the first one anyway.
The first one, the 99 one, I think. And it's like, when you have a 99 movie...
That was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, almost 20 years ago, beating on a 2017 movie.
CGI is even a lot better now.
Yeah, you got problems. So, what's your grade rating? If you had to
talking this thoroughly about it?
This thoroughly. God. Absolutely. What's your grade rating, you think?
If it wasn't for the female Mummy, which I thought she could have had more of a role in this film,
yeah,
I would have probably given it a complete F.
Okay.
But considering she did a decent amount in this film, I'd have to say C-.
You're going C-? Is it a high or a low C-, you think?
I'd have to say average C-.
Average C-, okay.
You can't really go any higher or lower, because if we talk about it more, it's probably going to go lower.
It's probably going to go a little lower, and then it's just going to drop.
I mean, the only thing that kept it from complete failing was probably her.
She definitely held it together, and great casting on their part for her, but again, it doesn't save it. My grade rating is probably going to be probably a low C-. I'm going with you saying
wow,
C-, low C-.
This is a rare thing that me and him almost agree on movies.
Most of the time we don't, but this is where we're kind of agreeing. Again,
I mean, I didn't have much expectations coming to see this film. I mean, my friend likes to try to keep my expectations up, but the only movies lately where I have high expectations, I can say he would probably agree with me, are Marvel films.
Our Marvel films, yes. This Mummy movie, felt like the Batman versus Superman of this franchise.
I would have said Man of Steel.
It's
surprisingly, me and him were surprised last week, if you didn't catch his last week's
review with Ron, yep.
Wonder Woman was surprisingly great.
Yes.
Which was the first in the DC film, at least for this generation.
So, yeah, so that was...
Even they said, oh, Wonder Woman would probably beat out The Mummy. I'm like, after watching The Mummy now, I can't say I'm surprised.
Absolutely. So, that was our review of The Mummy 2017. And,
hopefully if they do another monster movie, they can improve them, fix the mistakes that they learned from this one.
Yes, but... yeah. So, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Bye.